Hello everybody. It sounds like this New Year's is not a great one for DJs with this Omicron variant. A lot of cancellations, and you know what? I'm sorry to hear that you guys are going through that. I know that you counted on this money, you've been preparing for these events, you've turned on other events for the events you took, yet your event's getting canceled. Yeah, I feel for you. It's always a drag when your event gets canceled. I swore off New Year's Eve gigs probably over 25 years ago. That doesn't mean I haven't had relapses, because I have. And I don't remember every New Year's Eve gig I did. I don't even remember the years I did New Year's Eve gigs. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I remember the year, but not the event. Sometimes I don't even remember it happened at all. But I thought it would be interesting to talk about some of the events that I did and why I decided not to do them anymore. The first time was New Year's Eve going from 84 to 85. And it was a skating rink that I worked at. Now this was an all-night skate thing. And oddly enough, I don't remember anything about it. It was just another night at the rink. Fast forward to 89 going into 90, same rink, different management, and it ended at like 1 in the morning. I remember this one because I went out and partied with some friends afterward. Went downtown, had some fun. And the long story short, I met my daughter's mother that night. It's a story for another day. We didn't hook up right away. That was several years later, but I didn't meet her that night. So I remember that gig. The next year, I was working at a club. I was 19 years old. I wasn't supposed to be working at the club, but I was. And it was supposed to end at like 2. And they kept egging me on to play longer. I'm like, oh, cool, overtime. I think I went to 6. And I was just on a high because they were having a good time. I was playing some great songs that I couldn't normally play at the weddings back at that time. I was playing more club tracks, you know. It was too cool. And I got stiffed for my overtime. So I know the next year I did not do a New Year's Eve gig. It just put a bad taste in my mouth. Then the following year, I started working at Safe House downtown in Milwaukee. And every year, I would DJ New Year's Eve. And that went on for like, I don't know, maybe 6 years, perhaps. And we would go until, I think, 3 a.m. And then our big bonus that night was we were to run a coat check and we were to profit from that. Not like the club was going to pay us anymore, but we were going to get money for the coat check. So I'm DJing and I'm coat checking, and it was an absolute nightmare, but I did it every year. It was a challenge. And again, you know, when it ends at 3, you go out afterward because stuff is open all night here in Milwaukee. And then I remember doing this gig after I left the club. And the year, I'm fuzzy with it. It might have been 97 going into 98. I don't remember. But anyway, I took the event. I don't know why I took it, but it was very northwest of here, like hotel room northwest of here, 3 hours at least. And it wasn't an extraordinary amount of money, but I was done at 1. I remember that. I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'm done at 1. I can leave. So I drive up there, and at the time, my 86.5 Nissan hardbody pickup truck, 2-wheel drive, and I do this job, and around 11 o'clock, there's a blizzard. Like bad. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to get out of here. The roads are getting worse and worse and worse. And of course, 1 o'clock rolls around and they want me to go longer, but they don't want to pony up any cash, and I got to go. I leave a very hostile room because I'm out of there. And I begin my 5 or 6 hour drive home on very slippery roads. And that was the year I said, you know what, it's not worth it to do New Year's Eve gigs anymore. It's never really a good experience. I don't really profit a lot. There are more road hazards than any other night. And what I mean by that is, aside from that blizzard that was unexpected, there are more drunk drivers on the road than usual, because New Year's Eve is very much amateur night. There are people who go out, who don't normally go out, can't handle their booze, overindulge, and end up driving drunk. So there's just way too many road hazards, and it doesn't really pay off to do this. And at the time, I'm starting a family. I want to spend time with my kids. I did that until my daughter's mother and I split up. That's when I decided that, you know what, I'm single. I'm going out for New Year's every year. I'm not gigging. I'm just going to go out and party. And I did that for many years until 2008. There was a club that Blanca and I used to go to, Hot Water Warehouse. I used to do lighting videos from that place all the time. The owner was great, and he wanted a DJ for New Year's to go to the 4. I brought in a partner that year. We were going to go anyway, was kind of the deal. We had VIP tables right by the booth for our girlfriends, significant others, wives, whatever. And it was a cool party. We had fun. I had fun. Played some kind of weirdo stuff. Did a tag team DJ thing, so I wasn't back there all night. And made money. So 4 in the morning rolls around. We're breaking down. And the owner of the club is like, hey, let's go out and have some drinks on me. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's 4. He's like, there's stuff open, as there always is in Milwaukee. So we go to this club. And I catch my second wind. And man, I'm dancing, I'm drinking, I'm partying. They keep bringing in frozen pizzas and putting them around the dance floor, like on the ledge, for people to just eat. You know, it helps absorb the alcohol, keeps them going, you know. Beer pizza. It's a thing. It's a thing in Wisconsin. I don't know if you guys do it where you are, but they do it here. The theory is it helps absorb the alcohol and get some substance in your system. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's the theory. Blanca keeps saying, hey, let's go home. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. It's like, oh, come on, let's go home. Like, no, I'm good. I'm dancing. I'm meeting people. I'm having a great time. Finally, she says, look. It points to the one window in the club. And it's broad daylight. Yeah. It was like, I don't know, something ridiculous. Like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And immediately, the wind came out of my sail. And I remember driving away from that club that night. And I remember the streets, and the wind was blowing around the party favors that people had, littered on the street. It reminded me of like that apocalyptic movie, Night of the Comet kind of thing. It was like everybody died, and the streets are just empty. And it was kind of scary and creepy. Didn't say a word all the way back to her house, and probably slept until the next day. And then I got a real interesting offer at a casino to do a bar where I was playing band breaks. So the deal was the band would go on for an hour, I'd go on for an hour, the band would go on for an hour, I'd go on for an hour. I'd end up playing like 3.5 hours total, maybe 3 hours total. So I had time to do things. Blanca could come, we could have drinks, we could go gamble in between these sets. And that was pretty cool. I enjoyed doing that gig. And I think I was usually done, around 2 or 3. So it was still early. Go out and do the things we wanted to afterward. We never did. We'd come straight home because, we partied up pretty much at the casino. And that lasted until 2018. Sometime in 2018, they turned that bar where they had the bands and DJ tag team thing into an indoor golf driving range, like a virtual driving range or something like that. So that ended. And of course, so 2019 I didn't gig on New Year's. Then, of course, 2020, we know what happened there. And here we are. And I'm not gigging, and I'm okay with that. It's not like I don't get offers. I get offers all the time. And it's always something like, hey, would you like to go do a New Year's Eve gig in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Which, by the way, is far enough away where you'd have to get a hotel room that night. No. Why would I want to do a gig in Green Bay, Wisconsin on New Year's Eve? Why? Give me one reason I would want to spend New Year's Eve in a hotel instead of my own house. But I do feel for you. If it's gone pear-shaped for you because of this Omicron or whatever reason, I understand. But you know what? Maybe it happened for a reason. With all the other things that could be happening on New Year's Eve. The hazards you're put through. And, even Omicron, I would think, would be a new hazard you'd have to worry about for New Year's Eve. Being amateur night. I'm just not in any hurry to go back and do a New Year's Eve gig. But knowing me, I've got more under my belt. So we'll see what happens. That's it. Just a quick video for you. Just kind of a walk down memory lane. As much as I can remember about New Year's Eve gigs. What's going on with you this year? You doing it? Did they cancel? You getting compensated well? Let us know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Practice and enjoy.